Alright, I wanted to talk to you today about the steps you need to take to prepare yourself for the Bitless adventure if you plan on going that route. So what I would do first is it's very important to make sure that your horse is nice and soft and supple. You don't want to take this step when you are working with a stiff horse. I would start out in just a rope halter, make sure that they're flexing laterally really well, responding with just the lightest bit of pressure, and they're going to flex for you. You don't want them to fight it. You want them to be responsive to it. Make sure that they have a good foundation on them and they respond well to whatever you're riding in. If they're not responding well to it, you might want to think, well, is it something that I'm doing? If you're riding around in, a really long shanked bit and you have heavy hands that you really don't know that you have, that might be some of the issues where, it's kind of bleeding over into your horse's behavior that they can't necessarily communicate to you, hey, that hurts, get out of my mouth. They're going to show you that it doesn't feel good with their body language. So just make sure that you have a good foundation on them. When I mentioned flexing, we have some videos on that. Just really quick, I'm going to try to flex him. He has not been worked with in quite a long while. So he just got pulled out of the field, and we'll see what he does. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. He's a little stiff, but not too terrible. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. All right. And then I want to make sure he responds to halter pressure. Just at the slightest touch with my finger, I'm going to have him move backwards. When I put my hand on his halter, and he should back. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. That's a good boy. So Eli, okay, move forward. I got Eli from Texas, just off of equine.com. I took my chances on him. I never met him before. I thought he was pretty, and I thought I'm going to give him a chance. And so I had him picked up and brought him home, and he is my soul horse. When I first rode him, I just jumped on him bareback in just a snaffle. I didn't know anything about his background really. And he responded really well to it. And at that point, I'm like, I'm just going to try riding him without a bit. And he did fantastic. Of course, I just hopped on him and we went in the field because I was a little bit more braver at that point in my life. But yeah, as far as what I would suggest to do is, if you want to do this, get yourself in maybe a round pen or maybe a small arena. Try it that way. Wouldn't necessarily go out on in the field and gallop away in the sunset if this is your first time riding Bitless. And you don't want to encourage them to, your first time to be like, okay, well, we're going to get after it and we're going to run for our lives, because you want to teach them that, well, first we're going to start in a walk. Then when we have that proficient, we're going to move into a trot, then in a canter. Take baby steps with it. Don't just be like all or nothing. You want to make sure they're nice and soft and able to flex when you want them to, so that way you can bring their head around and do a one rein stop. If they're not listening to you, if you're at a walk and if they jump up into a trot and you didn't ask for that, you need to pull that head around, shut them down with a one rein stop, and then move on again. So every time they jump up into that higher gait, you're going to shut them down, and they're going to learn that, okay, she didn't ask for it. I'm just going to start at a walk, and then once you add that little bit of pressure, then they're going to jump up into that trot, but they're not going to do it unless you ask for it, because they're going to realize every time they do what you don't ask for, you're going to shut them down, and it's not fun for them. So it's kind of just like a little life lesson for them. I had one that would constantly want to jump up into a trot, and I corrected that within probably 2 or 3 days. It took literally about 101 rein stops one day for him just to it clicked in his mind, and he just got it, and I never had an issue with him after that. It was actually really cool seeing all that work you know, at your 97th one rein stop, you might think, oh geez, this is never going to work, but just stick with it. And, you know, make sure that you're always doing the same thing. You're always reinforcing what you're teaching. Don't stick with it, and then the next couple times you're like, I'll just let them go because I don't want to mess with it, because it just reinforces that unwanted behavior. So this is Eli, and he's one of those crazy thoroughbreds that I've ridden Bitless ever since I got him. And you know, people will look at me on the trail like, oh my god, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's riding that horse without a bit. She's crazy. Meanwhile, they're in this long shanked bit all up in their horse's mouth. Their horses are scared to death and they can't get away from the pressure. They hate their human. And here we are just walking around nice and slow, asking for a trot. He'll get up into his cute little trot. And if I want to bring him back down, he goes back down, and we enjoy our time together. And I don't need any type of device to help my communication with my horse, because I put the time into it. And it's been very, very rewarding for us and for all of my guys. So anybody that tells you, well, you can't ride bitless, it's dangerous, you don't know what you're doing, don't ever put your faith in a piece of metal to save your life. That's not going to save your life. What's going to help you gain control back is having a good foundation that you put on your horse to begin with. Making sure they're soft and supple, making sure they're desensitized, making sure that, where are you going? You don't want to talk to your mom anymore? You don't love that hay, you love me. Making sure that you've taken the right steps to ensure both of your guys' safety. So I hope that I've made sense in my rant about Bitless, and I hope that you guys kind of get where I'm coming from with all this stuff. So if you have any more questions, ask away.